Hey guys, Thomas Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Turning Red. If you end up enjoying this full review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. Want to head over to my Discord, second to my Patreon, third to my PayPal. Any donations will be greatly appreciated, help support the channel, and help support me. And shilling will be retold at the end of said review. So, with all the shilling out of the way, let's get into Turning Red. So I saw the trailer for Turning Red, and before getting into the plot, I figure I might as well get into a sort of small pre-discussion, because I found this quite fascinating, at least as a trend for Disney. It seems like they're having a little bit of a new renaissance as of recently, from Luca to Soul to Enchanto. Out of those three, it definitely feels like Disney and Pixar are starting to pick up on the whole people wanting these sort of independent movies to be told route of thinking, and I'm definitely on board for it, because it's a long step ahead of, another Disney remake of a live-action thing that they've done before, but worse. It's a long haul from there, and it's also all of these stories that I mentioned, all four of these movies that I mentioned, are all original stories, or as far as I can tell, they seem to be as original as I can conceive of. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are inspirations of other things, but I'm pretty sure you can always do that to any amount of degree. But point is that, when you look at the princess movies, those were, you can tell that those are picked from direct stories that have been, long told before. Anyway, tangent on that aside, there is another tangent that I find wildly fascinating, and it does come at the end of this movie. And because I find that when it comes to Disney and LGBT representation, I always find that discussion quite fascinating, because Disney and Pixar, Disney in particular, always seems to come close to skirting the line of like, we're gonna have that LGBT character in our movie, or even if it's not objectively there, like in Luca, you can subjectively feel like that is the story that they're sort of underlying through the main story. Which a lot of people do tend to see in Luca, primarily. Like, they don't explicitly ever say, those two young characters are gay, but, the context of the feelings expressed in that movie can get people to get on that train of thought. And here is much, again, where I find this quite fascinating, is that Turning Red also has a moment in this movie that is very LGBT representation quota, I feel, almost of Disney. In the same vein of, like, the live-action, I believe it was in Beauty and the Beast, where they had the guy, LeFou, dance with another guy for, like, a few seconds. Like, something of that equivalent happens in this movie. Well, a slightly different, advancement happens in this movie. And I feel like it's just short enough, though, that they could cut it out of the movie, and the movie still makes sense. I feel like that's what they wanted to do here, is make a very short, like, hey, here's our gay moment in this movie, and, have it short enough just in case China or whoever else explicitly gets rid of all that stuff. What other states do that? Or countries, I should say. That Disney can just do the whole, cut it out. Just slip it right on out. It's okay. There's no LGBT found here in Disney. Nope. We never say the word gay here in Disney. Don't get us in trouble, guys. That whole attitude. I always just find it wildly fascinating that this always happens with Disney in terms of recently, or at least seems to come up consistently with Disney, more so than any other animated company, or company in general that I can think of off the top of my head. And again, I think it's because Disney does tend to try to, and I know what some people have already said, I've seen, I've read across some things, and I'm pretty sure they're out there, that some people would probably say that Disney, and this is something I've seen before, I forget where it was, but there's like a YouTuber, I don't remember who it was, who said that Disney's, and this is me paraphrasing, but the two words I would use to paraphrase is diversity baiting, meaning like they're purposely trying to use diversity to pander to their audience, because people want diversity. I want diversity, and I want good diversity. I've never strayed away from that since the beginning of my channel, because I just want good content. I want well-written content, and if it just so happens to be diverse, if that is the case, then good. If it's well-written, good. That is my requirement, is that it is good. And as far as this movie is concerned, it's good. I mean, the gay part of it, again, it's short enough that they could cut it out, which is a shame, because, again, I know that Disney's too afraid to make an explicitly gay character. Again, Disney's never gonna make that happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you want your gay movie, but I don't think you should look to Disney to be that company to make that happen. I mean, maybe another company is brave enough. I have not seen it happen yet. Again, name me the example of a big company movie that has done it. I trust to look around and find the answer. Again, on YouTube, again, in a heartbeat, I'll always refer to that because it's the number one example I can think of off of the top of my head. YouTube people can make explicitly gay content. That's fine. But in terms of, big companies like this, like Disney, to be seen where the proper LGBT rep is going to be. Anyways, tangent over, let's get into it. We're going to get back to that tangent later on in the review, and where it actually happens in the movie. But enough about that, let's get into what the beginning of the story holds for us. So the movie begins with some narration from this young girl named Mei Ling, I think it was, but they shortened it down to just Mei, or at least I did for the sake of my review. And she says, through her narration, is that she follows these guidelines that her parents have provided for her, as well as, now that she's 13, she's trying to find her own way and do her own thing. So this is very much literally a coming-of-age story. If there was ever a coming-of-age story, this is among literally one of them now. Which, again, for Disney, I actually find quite surprising that they took on this subject. Again, as of recent Disney, I've been quite shocked of the things that they have been covering, like Soul and the afterlife and all that stuff. And what it means to be alive and all that sort of, out there sort of... Again, so I really like this current Disney trend. I hope it does continue. I don't want them to go back to the live action shit. If they can continue this trend, I'm good. Like, good Disney. That's the Disney that I want to see from. Thank you. I will take product if the product is going to be on this level, on this standard, that it should have been at this entire time, but that's for another time and another place. Anywho, so she has her three friends, Miriam, Fiera, I don't know how you pronounce her name, and Abby, her three friends, and I didn't write their personality traits down. I believe Abby is like this sort of crazy-ish sort of one. Miriam is like her outcast friend, if you will, and Fiera is sort of like the doom and gloom sort of persona. If I remember it off the top of my head, I didn't write them down. Anyways, as they are proceeding to hang out and chill together, they come across, the four of them, a young, handsome boy named Devin, and the four, or at least three out of the four of them, outside of our main character, seems to be completely infatuated by him. This movie takes place, I felt it ought to be said, in 2002, which I think that's the date that they give, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so I found that quite fascinating of a thing of, like, you know, what are these young people attracted to? Is, oh, they're attracted to the doom and gloom. I mean, I would have never noticed if that's true or not, but anyway. So they sort of sing their popular pop song that they are very addicted to, which is directly linked to the plot of the movie, or at least a portion of it. But she returns home after her little sesh with her friends to her mom, and she discusses, to help us understand, that their guardians are the red pandas, which, also convenient, is the animal that we will be seeing throughout most of the rest of the movie. And I did note that this particular thing, when they are discussing it, it seems like a little bit of a church-like system where, like, they're asking for money, and it, you know, I've been a part of that system before, once upon a time, where you go to church and they ask for donations and whatnot. So that's this, I don't want to say scheme, but I don't know what to call it. It's their way of making money. Let's just be nice about it. So, it's their system of, yes. So, anyways, so as she's all alone, she starts to rethink about this Devin character we saw earlier, and starts to reconsider her approach or appeal to this male that she was not oogling at earlier, to now oogle at him completely and utterly, to saying that he is literally fine. However, her mom comes into the room, and being the detective mom sleuth that she is, she discovers the journal. And since she thinks that she's protected her daughter so well, that the mom thinks that this is totally not on her, that somehow this boy has done the bewitching of, if you will. So she marches on over, you know, protective mom, as we now see, showing the examples to this young boy who had no clue what was going on because they were looking at him from a distance, and she did this on her own volition. So now this boy, who again had no clue what was going on, is being completely berated, and everyone else is in the store is sort of laughing at her, and she's being uber embarrassed, as it were. I believe this is the introduction we see to the other antagonist of the film. I believe his name is Tyler, and Tyler is the character I'm referring to when I say the LGBT moment, and I know it sounds strange to say, but trust me, we'll get there. If you've seen the movie, you probably already know what I'm going to be referring to when I say that. So anyways, she's completely embarrassed, and oddly, again, not something I would ever thought I would hear in a Disney movie. They say the word sexy, and that almost, made me, scratch my head, what? Disney's using that word? Okay. So yeah, as I'm doing this review right now, I'm going on to Google as I'm making this review, and I'm typing in, Turning Red here, because I feel like I need to see the rating of this movie, because I don't think this is a typical, I don't think this is a rated for everyone, if I'm not mistaken. How do I find the rating on the movie? Maybe I need to put in, add in rating as a word. Okay, let's give that a shot. Yeah, this is a PG movie. So there you go. Anyway, PG, for those of you in the not know, is parental guidance needed for a movie. So I don't know if this is... I don't remember the last time I've seen a Disney PG film outside of Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm struggling. I don't know. Especially in their animated repertoire. I'm like, the Cauldron movie from way back when? I don't know. I'm struggling to think of, when's the last time we've seen this happen. So this is definitely a breath of fresh air, again, in terms of even the dialogue. From out of Disney. Again, if this weren't Disney, I wouldn't be shocked, but this is Disney, so I'm actually quite surprised that they're using that type of language here. Anyways, when she wakes up after a night of nightmares and imagery that insinuates that something is going to happen, she does indeed transform into the red panda you see on the poster behind her. By the way, her hair is black before, and when she transforms back into the human version, she has the red hair, so that's why the red hair is what's going on there. If there was any confusion there. She freaks out, obviously, and the mom, and again, in surprise about Disney talking about this, openly starts discussing or kind of insinuating that she's going through puberty. And in fact, they mention the word, or they mention the thing of, pads, of, when a woman goes through, puberty, that whole thing. They actually bring it up literally in the movie, so there's no two ways around it. They literally discuss it in the movie. Or at least they bring it up, at most. But the dad does conveniently make a mess of things before the mom can, at this moment, discover what has happened to her. Luckily, the mom finding out part doesn't take too long to happen in this movie, so they don't stall on her being in the dark too significantly long. I thought it was convenient at first, but then it's sort of well, they're trying to go for a comical moment here, and she does, again, find out pretty soon, even after the fact, so, I don't know. Anyways, and so her friends go with her after she eventually transforms back. when she returns to school as a human again, she's again mocked by her bully, Trevor, or what did it? Tyler. Sorry, I don't know why I said Trevor. Tyler. So she's getting angry, and she partly transforms until she's like trying to hide herself until she like gets out of the school and fully transforms. This time her mom was like sort of following her to her school, so she sees it, the transformation, and knows distinctly, oh, like that's what's happening to my daughter. Well, this is happening to my daughter, because she assumed that it was just the puberty that was happening. But this turning into a panda just happens to coincide with the representation of puberty, so kind of both things are probably happening if we're being completely honest. So, in a wild chase, she goes along the roofs, and eventually her mom catches up with her and tells her of their past, their true past, about this woman in the past named Sun Yi, who, during the war times of ancient, I believe this is China, ? Well, they're in Canada, but I'm assuming their ethnicity is Chinese based off of it being a panda. And the war times, again, I'm very distinctly getting Chinese vibes. In fact, when she was telling the story of Sun Yi, I was like, is that like a nod to Mulan in a way? And I was, like, it definitely felt like, because Mulan's based off of, the Disney Mulan is based off of story of, like, a ancient story of, like, a Chinese warrior woman who fought, you know, in that older time, so I don't know if that's a direct reference or a loose reference or what, but I did think of it, so I don't know, shrug. Anyway, so her mom shows that she has a pendant to wear off the panda transformation that she once apparently went through herself, and that if they go through this ritual on the next red moon, that they can help this young girl, May, out in getting rid of it permanently as well. So they move her room to put her in a room that's less clunky, so that if she does transform, she's not gonna mess with anything in her room anymore. So, you know, they're trying at least to like help her in that regard, because she does transform when she starts crying again. And again, just to point out that she says crap, which I don't think is a word Disney usually has under its repertoire directly. So I thought, oh, another one. Anyway. So her three friends are worried about her, but they see her in her transformed state, and they are completely enthralled that she is a red panda. They find it quite adorable. And through their friendship and their beatboxing, which, out of all the things of Disney, is something that I was actually wondering how long it was going to take. There's music in this. I wouldn't say it's a musical necessarily, but you know, a song that I'm gonna assume that they produced and put together. Like, they made a beatboxing version here in they have the girls perform it. So again, I always thought that they were gonna make a beatboxing movie for Disney a while ago, but here we are, finally. You know, next step for Disney, here's a free idea, Disney. People, once upon a time, loved Drumline. I know that's an obscure movie to bring up now, but some sort of dancing competition type of movie or a Drumline type of movie is something I've I'm shocked that Disney hasn't tried to sort of mimic in their own way. And I feel like they're, with their tip-top tier animation and music combination, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a competition-like movie like that would be right up their alley. So there's a free idea for Disney if they're ever looking for an original idea. There's one for you, Disney. You're welcome, if I might take from Moana. Anyway, getting back on track. So they get her to transform back. Her friends do. And so she figures, oh, like, I'm not transforming back into the red panda anymore, even though I'm getting angry. This is neat. So she wants to test it with her parents to see if through that she can go to this concert that she's obsessed with. So they test her with the ultimate test, with cute, cuddly kittens. She manages to resist even that transforming her, because any strong emotion seems to engage the panda mode, and she resists it. But the mother still says no, even after her presentation. And once the daughter leaves, the mother gets called by her mother, so May's grandmother, who says she's coming over and begging on reinforcements. So there's that to look forward to. So the four friends back at school get caught at the bathroom stall by three other girls who see her in her panda form, but they also think that she's cute, and they are willing to offer her money to just take pictures of her in her panda form. So they look at each other, money dollar signs appear on their faces, and they think, hey, we can get paid for this, we can make our own money and get to that concert on our own funds. So, through this little montage of them making money, Tyler once again makes his presence known in the movie, trying to buy merch on his own, because I guess he's a fan of it as well, this whole panda trend that is now skyrocketing through the school. But he gets a sign that says, Tyler the Punk is not allowed. So, when they're separated from the rest of everyone, like out on the outside, looking at some boys, as they do, which, again, is something I alluded to earlier, Tyler is there under the bleachers, and threatens to tell May's mom about this whole shindig, or this little thing, so trying to, what's the word, forget, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I completely blanked, and I'm completely not thinking about what it is, of when you use, incriminating pictures or evidence of something, and use it to, coerce someone into something. I forget what the word of it is off the top of my head for some reason. Anyway, point being is that he uses this as an excuse to have her to come to a party as the panda. Now, he seems to be quite invested in this. Now, while it's never stated in direct dialogue beforehand, it seems to be, based off of even just the way he dresses, is that he's trying to be the cool kid in school. And again, this is something that is never spoken in dialogue, which I actually really appreciated, and it's something you can just tell by the way he is dressed. Again, this is what good filmmaking can do, is that when you can look at someone and you can just look at the way that they're dressing at a certain time and frame and go, oh, that's what they're trying to do with that character. Again, really smart. Disney using its full capacity of telling a story through even visual storytelling. Again, that's really strong on Disney's part. And again, that's when I commend Disney for doing that well. because he has a very urban-ish look to his clothing style, which is why I get the idea that he's trying to create the illusion that he's trying to be the cool kid in class. And this, as a move, again, asking the red panda, because the red panda is popular in school, popularity, so again, there's even a line that you can now infer that that is what he's looking for. He's looking to become popular, and again, they don't directly state it. So again, that's probably one of my favorite scenes in this movie, is that interaction between the two, because you can tell what is going on even though he doesn't directly state it. So anyways, so she agrees that she will come along and that he will pay for this to occur. But as she's getting ready to head out on her own, the mom wants to now tag along. And just as they're about to leave, the aunts come along, and her grandma comes along. So they're trying to get on with the, trying to help her with her panda problem, but she's trying to get to the party. So she goes up to her room and claims to rest up early, but that is clearly a lie. And says she arrives at the panda after being warned that this is not going to end well. But even she tries to abide by that rule. Her friends influence her to a degree, and even she's like a little shooken by it. So I wouldn't say it's 100% peer pressure, because again, she also wants to go to that party as well. That she agrees to go full panda and does so. So they go through a party montage, and the party was pretty boring beforehand, and now that she's the panda, now that the hype of the panda is here, everyone is having a great time, including Tyler, who seems to be having a good time as well. However, while she's doing that stuff at the party, the mom, wanting to check in on her after her grandma said to be like, hey, look out for her. She finds all the stuff she's been hiding, all this panda merch that they have been making along the way. So the mom is making her way there now. And while this is going on, we cut back to the party, and her friends look to her and say, hey, maybe you should just keep the panda. I mean, despite the chaotic nature that it initially created, it's actually done a little bit more positive than negative as far as everything's concerned. So, why not just let it, just let that be the new you. And so she thinks on that. And they discover that the night of the party is the same night as the one of the ritual, which to get the split between the panda and her. So she freaks out. And Tyler requesting that, or more so demanding that the panda return to do more things. She freaks out, refuses, and is in panda form, so she proceeds to attack as a panda on Tyler, so, that's a quite understandable freak out from Tyler, understandably so, to be attacked by a panda of all things. It's like being attacked by a bear, but probably less scary, slightly-ish, maybe? I don't know the comparisons between pandas and bears, so I'm not sure which is actually scarier. They could be equally as scary if pandas were threatening, or as threatening as bears could be, so I don't know. But this movie seems to insinuate that pandas can be threatening, so we are sticking to that lore, so it's a very understandable fright that he is having currently. The mom comes, and in a sort of Luca-ish sheen, the mom comes in and she blames the friends, and May, much like Luca did when the whole monster thing was revealed, chooses to be with her mom instead of the three of them. And they think that she's completely bailing, and that, her conclusion was that she had so long, been in line with what her mom wanted, that this seemed like the more neutral way for her to go as a character. So she did choose that path. So the three friends, distraught, still decide to buy their tickets and go to the party without her. Her dad, having his first real scene in the movie, because I feel like this film is very female-centric, and I actually, speaking of strong scenes, surprisingly, for the one scene the dad does have, I'm gonna say it, it's one of the best scenes in the movie. For all the feminine things in this movie, the dad has one of the best scenes in the movie, and I actually really do appreciate that, the dad isn't just, just there in the background and, just gets completely hushed out 100% of the film. I'm glad that they gave him a scene, not just a scene, but a really strong scene, where he talks about how he was the outsider at one point and what he had to go through to, to be with her mom at that point. And what it means to go through that transformation, and how, seeing that enjoyment come from her meant a lot to him. And that, again, all of that was really great to actually hear come from him, because, again, he had just been so quiet throughout the majority of the movie. But after that, after her talk with her dad, the ritual is about to begin. I'm just trying to find where I am in my notes, because I lost my place here for a second here. Just give me a second here. There we go. So the ritual starts, and she breaks into this sort of spirit world, this bamboo forest, which again, that made me think of China for just implication of like location. I don't know if bamboo thickets are in Japan as well. I'm not sure. Because I'm thinking of samurai warriors and dynasty warriors, and I'm trying to remember, like, what stages in those had bamboo thickets, and I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, that aside, so she breaks into the spirit world, and she's almost free, or she's like halfway through baking away through the panda, but sees that the panda is sad, and so she breaks back into the panda, so she chooses to be permanently binded with the panda for the time being. This, in turn, when she breaks free from this little trance that she was put in, the mother has her pendant broken as the daughter sort of like freaks out and leaves on her own accord. So she makes her way to the concert. She reconciles with her friends and gets her Tamagotchi back, because she had one at the beginning and her friend held on to it for her just in case. And I don't know if they gave it another name, like, they named the character, but that thing is a Tamagotchi. Like, I don't know what else to call that thing, other than a Tamagotchi, because that's what it is. Anyway, so she gets her little Tamagotchi back, she rekindles her friendship with her friends, They're at the concert already, and the concert begins. And the four of them, now reconciled with their friendship, also happen to see Tyler there, and they're like, "Say what?" And it turns out that he is a huge fan, as well as these boy banders. And in fact, he has a shirt or a different outfit indicating that he's infatuated with one of them in particular. And I think, and I could be wrong here, I think his direct dialogue is, "I love you," the name of that boy character. I don't remember their names, of the boy banders. But I feel like watching it again, because I think that was his direct dialogue, is like, "I love you," insert name here, of boy character. And again, I find that funny, that is his one moment of like, oh, he's love, like, I think he actually legitimately says love, "I love you," insert character, like, oh, okay. So, that's the LGBT moment I'm referring to. Again, it's really short, so that's why I'm forgetting what the exact dialogue is, that they could easily cut out in case they're worried. But I mean, again, it's way more explicit than anything in Luca, so again, I personally find that kind of funny, that the scene is shorter, but the words said in it are way more explicit. I feel like cutting to that moment just to check, but I'm not, on my own time I'll peruse it, but I'm pretty sure that's what he says. I'm pretty confident in it. And in fact, the four of them, sort of, in that one moment, sort of in-group him into their group, and he sort of accepts it. Like, they were antagonistic, them versus him, throughout the entire movie, up until this point, and then they just insert him into the group, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, that works, I guess." And the rest of the movie, for as short as the moments are he's now a part of their group. So the one boy in the prior all-girl group. Again, I'm not gonna say that's an explicit gay thing, because it's not, because you can have a friend that is a girl, obviously. I'm not saying that can't be the case, but I do find it funny that he did have the explicit moment beforehand, and that, he's just now just in that group. The pacing of this movie is pretty solid, all things considered, but that moment definitely seemed like it was a little bit of a really fast click that almost seemed a little bit like, huh? Oh, that's happening now, okay. Anyway, so, the mom, now also transformed into a mega giant panda, because her pendant broke. She makes her way to the concert. She starts freaking out. So the daughter, finally breaking free from all of her secrets, reveals all of them to her panda mom. And the panda mom is outraged by this and saddened, and all of these emotions are filling through as this, concert has been thoroughly destroyed. However, through her panda powers, young May is able to knock out her mom, but she accidentally knocked her out of the transformation portal, so the grandma, as well as all of her aunts, take off all of their pendants, and they all transform into their panda forms, and they all start to try to drag her back into the circle, and they eventually do so. With their combined traditional song, the boy banders, alongside her friends, sing their, that song that they were singing beforehand. So it's actually a mix of pop and traditional music, which actually sounds pretty pleasant together, so they did a really sly job with that one. And she's able to, along with all the other women in the panda family, to go back into the forest area, the ethereal forest thing. So we see this from May's perspective, where she makes her way up to the mom. We see the mom in a much younger form, and we see that she too had much issues with her mother, sort of slightly indicated earlier in the movie, but this explicitly tells us, like, hey, like, the reason why she became so hard is because she went through the whole scenario and she didn't want, the whole passed down thing to have that same effect. So there was a reason behind her overprotective bearingness that she had throughout the movie, and this finally explores the full reason why. And this is a pretty tender moment alongside one other one with the dad, where the mom goes through that, and we see the family reunite, and all of them outside of May remove themselves from their panda forms. She gets uplifted by the ancient spirit of the panda and is allowed to keep it, as she was sort of indicating earlier. She makes her way back out from this little situation as the movie opened with narration. Of course, the movie ends with some narration saying how things have slightly changed as we see her with her friends. Tyler now in-grouped into their friend group as she's, able to use her panda form to influx people to help them rebuild the stadium that they so promptly broke, which I actually really do appreciate. Because I can tell you, I have seen it before where it's like, the good characters destroyed a thing and then they get off scot-free. I am often not a fan of that, never has been. I actually quite like that there was actually repercussions for them breaking the stadium. It's like, hey, you did destroy that stadium, like, that is on you, so you do have to do that. So I actually really greatly appreciate that a part of their narration and a part of their ending story was, we're raising that money to, using the whole panda to get people to pay us to eventually pay off that, as high as it is, stadium rebuild. So I, again, really appreciate that little add-on to this. And that was Turning Red. Overall, I would say, again, current Disney, with the 3 other movies I mentioned, another solid one under their belt. Another original-ish Disney Pixar movie, and I actually really appreciate this one. They use a little bit more edgy language with the PG rating, which I actually appreciate, especially coming from Disney. The whole topic at hand of, young puberty, it's like, that's something that I don't think Disney has quite tackled directly. If they did, it was all, metaphorical and, all that good stuff back in the day. But this is like, no, we're gonna bring in some stuff about puberty here. Pads included, if you know what I'm saying. So, I actually do appreciate that they're actually tackling this age range, because they typically don't. And again, I feel like that has been, again, the same renaissance of what we've been seeing from Disney as of late. And again, I actually hope that they continue this trend. I hope they continue to explore different ideas. And if those different ideas happen to coincide with, again, continued diversity, which is, some people will still complain about for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, again, if it's well written, for me, that's enough. That's enough. That's all Disney ever has to do to please me. Which shouldn't sound like a lot, but it is these days, because a lot of content is shit. So I'm glad to see a movie that I can give a solid 7 out of 10 to. I think this is a 7 out of 10. And there you go. That is my score for Turning Red. I thoroughly enjoyed it. In terms of critiques and criticisms, I'm actually struggling to think of it's a plot hole or whatever, off the top of my head anyway, as I was talking through it. So, I don't know, I might even push to an 8 out of 10, honestly, because I'm struggling to think of any issues that I came across. And again, I did enjoy the movie, so personal enjoyment does, subjectively does boost up my score, even though this is an objective review slightly, usually. Because 7, if you haven't been keeping track, is solid with very few flaws. That's usually what my 7 out of 10 is, and enjoyment within that can kind of push it to the 8, 9, 10 range for me, usually. And the minor things that can get it to those scores. So, I think I actually am going to go for an 8 out of 10 for this movie. So, this is definitely one, if you have not checked it out, I would actually recommend it. So, there you go. So, that's my full review. Again, if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One watch over to Discord, second to my Patreon, third to my PayPal. Any donations are greatly appreciated. Help support me, and help support the channel. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye!